Linux versus Windows. Some of you may have been asking this question after watching some of my videos or other YouTubers' videos, but today, even though there's plenty of these types of videos out there already, I think I might as well give my try at this too, because I feel like I could do pretty good show off of differences as well, and try to get some more things on your mind so you can think about thinking about switching over. So yeah, let's get into it. The first difference is licensing. Windows runs on a proprietary license. A proprietary license basically gives rights and ownership into the holder of the basically, for example, Microsoft here. Microsoft owns Windows. Basically, when you're given the right to use the like use a proprietary software, you're just basically getting the privilege to use it. Microsoft has the legal right to take that privilege away from you. And that, when usually most of the time they don't end up doing that, other than extreme cases. But I would be kind of worried about how they go around doing that kind of stuff in the future. Especially knowing today's current political climate. Yup. And as well as other things, but a proprietary license or software is usually also a closed source, 99% of the time. Which Windows is closed source, which means you can't take a look into the software itself. Like, you can't take a look at its software source code. And many people like open source software because you can see what the heck's going on with it. But if you're talking about closed source software has its advantages too, mainly on the developer end of things, as well as some on the user end of things too. For example, the developer, its software is less likely to get his work stolen, especially under a proprietary license where it doesn't allow basically people to fork your stuff. People will literally completely steal your work and some of your code and stuff. That is a negative. Negative sort of. Actually, quote unquote, that's an entire negative if you're trying to make some money. And that's basically the case for Windows. It also basically makes it harder to find backdoors and stuff. So basically that provides both positives for the developer and the user. But at the same time, it can also provide negatives. First of all, developers can be more spooky with closed source software, closed source licenses. They could go around. They can be spooky like a literal ghost. They'll put in code to track some stuff you do. It doesn't mean that it's always going to be bad with how they track you. There are going to be times when you really don't really need to worry about it as much, because they're probably just going to use it for analytical stuff and maybe even help them provide better advertisements to you. But most time these days, big tech companies like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, etc., they'll not only use it for your data for those purposes, but they'll also sell the data. Imagine what would happen once your doctor or your employer gets a hold of your browsing history because they bought that browsing history of yours from Google. It won't be pretty, fellas. But yeah. But for example, Windows, like I said, is proprietary and closed source. So again, it can be more secure on the side of backdoors, but it doesn't mean that it's secure. People make viruses for that OS all the time. You're more likely to get a virus for that than even on Macs and stuff. And yes, Macs do get viruses. It's not impossible. It's just far harder to find because there isn't much of a demand for Mac OS viruses. And same with Linux. You can make a virus for Linux, but they're far harder to find. In fact, if there's any at all, they're actually floating around out there. In fact, how Linux does packages is actually a lot more secure than how Windows does installation of applications. But I'm gonna get into those in a bit and secure stuff in a bit. Windows also kind of benefits sort of from proprietary license. only on the developers end because, like I said, they can do spooky stuff. Windows 10, more likely, everyone knows it's already is spooky in of itself. For many of the things it does, it produces. It basically like it does track your data and stuff. Yeah, literally, an operating system that most people run literally tracks your data. What a surprise! Fun fact: it's not a surprise. So, yeah. Linux, on the other hand, runs on a free and open source license most of the time. Some of the things about Linux, free and open source licenses, like the GPL licenses, most distros are under the GPL license, including your big ones like Ubuntu, Pop! OS, etc. Or they're under the BSD license, which is also still free and open source. Free and open source software. The free in this means you can do whatever the heck you want legally, but as long as it's legal. But at the same time, the device will not even report the crap you're doing something stupid. Unlike Windows, which who knows, someone's gonna see that and be like, oh, hey FBI, we have reported someone downloaded some illegal stuff. Can we send someone over to the house? Thank you. And yeah, and basically, that thing not, but yeah, but Linux won't do that. But I don't advise doing that kind of stuff. I don't support any illegal actions. Don't take that out of context. I don't support people downloading illegal crap on there. I'm just mentioning that Linux is not spooky. Another thing is Linux also, under a free and open source license, like I said, you can do where the heck you want with it. Canonical cannot tell you, hey, you can't do that. You can't do that. Hey, you cannot use Ubuntu. We're going to revoke Ubuntu from you. And compared to Microsoft, which I believe they can actually revoke your Windows access, but they haven't but we don't know any example of cases where they've done that. But yeah, Linux, no, like I said, Canonical can't revoke your access. In fact, you own your copy of Ubuntu. Technically, basically, you can do whatever the heck you want with it. Same with most other Linux distros. In this case, free and open source. The open source part, direct opposite of closed source. You can go eyes peeking into where the heck's going on if you want to do that. And everyone knows and if you don't, you can find people talking about whatever they find the source code online. So you basically are much more ensured that you're not being spied on for any stupid things and other dumb stuff, if you know what I mean. Basically, you're in a better spot when it's open source. In fact, companies are much more deterred from putting in spooky stuff in open source software because people can see it when they're putting something spooky in. So yeah, that's licensing. Moving on to the next one, security. This is going to be a little quick one, but Windows and Linux are kind of two different areas related to security. Windows isn't, let's be honest here, it's not that secure of an operating system. That thing gets backdoored all the time. Viruses are made for that operating system all the time. As well as a lot of malware. There's a reason why you barely won't find antivirus for Linux or Mac, because how are you going to get a virus on Linux or Mac? There's hardly any viruses out there for them, and the way you install packages on Windows is much more risky than you do on Linux. And by that I mean far more risky. And I'll get into that in a bit too. What is one thing you do with one thing about Windows basically is that you get stuff off the internet. You download stuff off the internet. Which means you're going to be you may download a virus from somewhere sketchy. Which is not good, to be honest. You know what happens to computers when you download sketchy stuff. Slowdowns. Maybe your credit card gets stolen too. Who knows? And also, cyber attacks are usually targeted. Windows computers are also a victim of a lot of hacks. too. You also have to realize that. Linux, though, if Linux is ever being targeted for, first of all, for any cyber hack, it's the servers, not your desktop PC. If there's anything Linux, another thing that makes Linux more secure on the secure side of things is that, like, it runs on package managers. And the thing about package managers are, you can either pull up a graphical interface, like, let me do this right here, like Synaptic. Right here, you can just find stuff. I don't need a quick introduction. You can find stuff in here and that. And basically, like, you can easily install packages on Linux from trusted sources instead of scouring through Google and stuff, or potentially nefarious packages that can screw up your computer. And even that, viruses are hardly made for Linux, which is another big plus in security. If you can't find a virus for your computer, then your computer's not getting a virus. That's for sure. The only riskier part of things are probably maybe .deb files and AUR, but even those are, you won't find much malicious stuff in there anyways, because what's the purpose of making malicious software for Linux? Like, first of all, like, most people use Linux are geeky enough, like, that basically eliminates, like, 99% of possible Linux users to screw around with and stuff. So, again, there's almost no use of making a virus from Linux. It's not going to work. What are you going to get out of it? Like, you're going to get nothing out of any piece of malware virus on Linux. The one little downside is just that it's open source, again, for security reasons. Though, again, that, like mentioned earlier with licensing, you're also a bit more sure that you're not getting spied on, which is a plus security. So I guess this is just negated too little, sort of. But it's one thing, still something to mention. Open source means backdoors can be found a bit more quickly. I'm just mentioning that. But again, all other reasons are big enough that I wouldn't even see like this as a potential problem, because it's going to try backdooring Linux. Unless you're maybe the pipeline or something, then there ain't nothing to worry about here. So, moving on. Next one is basically the interface. Linux and Windows are two almost completely different beasts when talking about interface. The reason why I say this is because it basically comes down to customization. Customization is one of Linux's biggest positives. You can customize other crap out of it. Because the free license, you can change whatever the heck you want about the system. It's yours. It is thine. It is yours. And thinking about that means you can customize whatever the heck you want with it. You can do whatever the heck you want with it legally. Probably the 69th time I've ever said that. Windows, there's no customization. And of course, there are a lot of distros that come with interfaces that are almost like Windows. Linux Mint, KDE Neon, Manjaro has it, or etc., etc. They come with interfaces similar to Windows. Then you got interfaces that are a bit closer to macOS, like Pop! OS Cosmic, which has an interface that looks closer to macOS, but even that, you can download any Linux distro and just do a little quick sudo apt install KDE Plasma or KDE-desktop, and voila, you got that entire thing dealt with. Well, because it's going to just install from there. And I think that's kind of something to mention. It doesn't take years to install something. You don't need to go all hacker man and stuff, like green text on the screen going, like, you don't need to do that. It's something like sudo space apt space install space and then name a package. Firefox, which is usually installed by base, and press enter. Voila, you got a package installed. Which is something that, like, is easier and more secure than Windows I mentioned earlier. And that would install a browser, of course. You do that with desktop environments like Cinnamon, which looks like Windows is off the start. And that's just overall something I think y'all need to like try looking into yourselves. Also, like, which distro has interface that appeals more to you? Windows, on the other hand, is strictly one interface. In fact, they're completely locking the taskbar's location. Not even when you activate it. Like, even if you activate your copy of Windows, that taskbar is still forever locked. But I mean, like, you can't unlock it and move it around. It's forever locked. It's staying locked. And that's with Windows 11, and oh boy, that's kind of enough of a drive to get you switching over to Linux if you like good old customization. But even that, most people really don't focus on customization on computers. But even that, Linux is kind of better than Windows. Is better than Windows in this area because you got more options of like what appeals to you more. Compared to Windows, which is the same old, basically almost 99% of the time, the same old interface. Start button in your left side. Start button in your bottom left. Couple favorite icons in your bottom left corner. And they're just taskbar with all your open tasks and stuff. And bottom right, just clock and notice and stuff. Maybe that top still, but barely anyone move that to the top. Well, you can if you want Windows to look like a Mac, but that's not going to be a possibility anymore, sadly. They're killing off customization on Windows mainly. That's the thing. Like, I thought like they would actually start increasing customization a lot with Windows soon, because of like how they're just copying things from Linux. Like, but at the same time, like but what it seems like they're killing off customization on Windows. AK, let's move to Linux. But other than that, Windows and Linux both have great shells that you can easily navigate through. Even if you don't want to anyways, you can actually just get rid of the interface. Just go bare bones command line. But I don't think a base user would go off of that start. Yeah, you can do some basic things, alter like a couple text editing, but you're not popping open like Minecraft or that. No, you'd have to use a graphical interface for that. So please keep your graphical interface. The next one has to be installation of programs. This is a big one. Windows, yeah, you got WinGet coming out, but who's installing WinGet? Who's going to use it on Windows? Yeah, WinGet makes it safer to install packages, but people will still go on to the internet and still look for Google GIMP and go to a website, and by chance they may end up with the wrong website and click install on the wrong program and get a virus. If they went to the correct website, again, they'll install an exe file, click through a bunch of menus, and stuff and install it. If you want Linux, all you just need to do is either A, pop open the terminal, type in sudo apt install GIMP, or B, pop open something like Synaptic, and install, search for GIMP and click install on it. Or C, you can open up like your distro's own like little app store type thing and search for Google Chrome or Firefox and just literally click install by it, and that's easiest and most newbie friendly way of doing things. Linux obviously gets a plus in there. And the next one I think we might as well have to go off of is performance. Linux kicks Windows right in its rear when it comes to performance. Games that are on Linux run faster usually. Other than maybe a couple errors, but even that, Proton makes games run fast. Native games do run fast too. So if you're a gamer, unless you're a competitive gamer, your game's gonna run faster. Yes, sir. Also, like overall, like stuff opens up faster too. Your computer boots up far faster. Faster. Probably because Discord, Steam don't open on start. Yeah. And your computer, so basically you open up, it goes straight to your screen. One of the problems my computer had with Windows, is that for one, it take 5 minutes just to fully like be able to be usable. Even though this thing's a beast. No, not technically a beast, but it's good. And didn't the fans go off like bat crap crazy with this? Yeah, like Windows, like the games that will run will run. But again, your startup's going to be slow. Some applications are going to take forever to load up compared to Linux. Just overall, things are going to be slower on Windows. Linux gets a complete A plus in this category. Though again, Windows does run more applications. So, but thankfully, Wine and Proton are getting better. So more of the games are running, will run better. And the fact that Steam Deck's coming out with Linux on it, oh boy, you're getting more and more of your games are going to run. If more and more of your games start being able to be ran on Linux, well, that means at some point you're going to be able to load your favorite software up. But come on, try taking a look at open source software. If your job doesn't care if you use open source software or not, use it. There ain't nothing wrong with it. In fact, it saves you money. Yeah, that's right. Using LibreOffice saves you money. saves you about $100 a year, or something. I don't know. How much does Microsoft Office cost a year? Let me look that up. Hold on. So now the final thing I'm gonna be talking about is quality. I feel like it's probably the most important one out of these, but quality between Windows and Linux may seem like quite obvious. Wouldn't Windows be the higher quality? No, it wouldn't exactly mean that. Not saying Windows is trash quality, but I'm just saying that I'm basically trying to say that Linux is not bad quality. It's varying by distro, and the quality is completely up to you. You can make your Linux installation be completely crappy in quality or actually really good in quality. There are many distros out there that are high quality. Pop! OS, especially Ubuntu, Fedora, OpenSUSE, they are high in quality. They are high quality Linux distros. Meanwhile, you're looking towards, and then you get towards minimalist distros like Arch, or the quality's up to you. Sort of. Other than that, Linux is actually quite good in quality for the mainline distros. If you're talking about Windows, is also quite good in quality. I think, if anything, they're probably on par with each other, sort of. But again, compatibility is sort of a big limit here. Until a couple years from now when Proton, Steam, and Wine, etc. get better. Oh boy, again, like I said, you're going to be running your favorite apps on here. But yeah. So to end this off, this part of talk off, because I'm going to talk about something else too in a bit. Basically, Windows and Linux. Windows is basically the operating system everyone just uses, and because it just comes with their computers. Linux is that operating system that everyone sees as used for geeks, but isn't a geeky operating system. When you're talking mainline distros, which are completely normal person friendly. You don't need a big giant brain to use Linux. And you don't need to become HackerMan to install something. Microsoft, Windows, and Linux, I'd probably say Linux is overall better than Windows in many areas, and in some areas Windows dominates over Linux, like obviously compatibility. But in other areas like performance and customization and interface, Linux kicks Windows right in the rear. So yeah, that's my take on the whole thing. Now to the next part. Well, some of y'all may be wondering, where the heck have I gone? I've gone nowhere. Literally. It's called, I was playing too much Call of Duty is what I was doing. In fact, how my computer was on the Windows boot half the time because I was trying to play Black Ops 3 Zombies and stuff. Like, yo, myself need to calm down sometimes. Yeah, that's basically what the heck happened. It happened a few weeks ago too, but it wasn't COD, it was Civilization. I'm serious. Yeah, that kind of stuff can kind of drag you in like a black hole, to be honest. And I think another thing y'all may be wondering, and I kind of got this as a feedback thing one time. Hey, maybe you should open these curtains. It's really dependent on time of day. Like, there are times of the day where I'll open them, but at times of the day like this, no. That's done. Actually, thinking about it, it's a far better time to have those open right now. But usually around like 5 o'clock, like 6 o'clock, the sun will literally be right there. It will shine through and it will blind the entire camera. Like it just blinded. And it's doing all the crap right now too. I think if there'd be any time for me to either record, should be early. Like it should be a bit more like close to around noon, where sun's all the way up there, or probably in an hour from now, where sun's a bit more like all the way down there. It's not as bright outside, but you can still see some stuff outside or in the dark, which is completely boring. So yeah, this builder shed here. Hope to see y'all next time. Oh, wait, leaving yet. To be honest, I feel like I have some plans too. I'm thinking about making a channel called Builder Shed 2, which is dedicated for some more normal stuff, maybe some live streams and stuff not related to Linux. While my gaming channel, I'm thinking about getting some other stuff on there too. Maybe some stuff related to COD Zombies, because that stuff really, I enjoy that type of stuff. So now, truly, this is Builder Shed here. Hope to see y'all next time. See ya. If y'all like this type of content, make sure to drop a like. If you wanted to see more of this content, make sure to subscribe. If you don't like this content, or specifically this video, drop a dislike. And it'd be heavily appreciated if you were to also drop a comment explaining why you disliked the video and some issues, also known as constructive feedback. I'll see y'all next time. See ya.